Hello everyone, making a quick documentary video on how I'm fixing my gut. So if you've been following me, had an episode of Insomnia where I didn't sleep at all for like 3 days, couldn't recover fully from that. 5-day one, that was really bad. I felt panicky and nauseous and not good, and it was just really bad. And my gut's kind of destroyed from that as a result. And there's some sickness along with this, like the kids are sick. It was just a season of shit going down. And yeah, so I'm fixing my gut right now. My gut's all nauseous and pukey and not having a great time. So I'm trying to rebuild my digestive strength. And something I read in an old book on traditional Chinese medicine was that you would rebuild digestive strength by eating stews of cooked vegetables. And I'm doing like carnivore keto, so I'm gonna do stews of cooked meat and vegetables, but just carrots, because I really like carrots. And carrots, for a variety of reasons, absorbing endotoxin, they seem to agree with me really well. Make you feel really good, so going with carrots. Part of the experiment. Also, as part of the experiment yesterday, I started making a new batch of green tea fermented apples with cinnamon and stuff. They're non-organic, but I think that having the bacteria grow in a toxic environment will actually make them more resilient and helpful for me. So because my body's kind of a little toxic, so I want them to be able to handle pesticides, because God knows there's a lot of pesticides going around and stuff. So could be a really interesting solution there. Could fermenting more foods accustom bacteria to, specifically our gut bacteria, to new GMOs, pesticides, all this stuff. I mean, maybe the problem isn't that our environment's toxic. Maybe the problem is that our environment is toxic for our current gut bacteria, because the last time our gut bacteria were updated was the last time you made a jar of fermented apples yourself. So how many generations ago was that? That could be a lot of the problem. I don't know. Eating tons of fermented apples really helps me. I haven't done it in a while because it's a pain in the butt to make them, but hey, living's a pain in the butt, I guess. So yeah, making a bunch of fermented apples, just a lot. I want to just really go at it and maybe make a video series just dedicated to seeing how many jars of fermented apples I can possibly eat, just to see if doing that gets my body's enzyme count up or whatever that would mean. I don't know. These things are all things that I could probably test with very expensive tests, but I don't have the time or inclination to do so, because there's just other stuff I'm working on. And so it all becomes notes in my journals to have peer-reviewed studies done or do my own peer-reviewed studies later. But for now, it's just an interesting thought. Can we all improve our health by simultaneously increasing our enzyme count and rehabilitating our guts through introducing new and larger quantities of beneficial bacteria through fermenting conventionally grown produce and consuming it in massive quantities? Let's find out. That's what I'm doing with apples. I'm also consuming, again, massive quantities of fiber in the form of stewed carrots, stewed organic carrots, because I believe that there's a strong, so I'm thinking, like, why do people eat fiber? Like, everyone's always talking like fiber for the gut, and I've largely found fiber, especially in the form of raw vegetables, to be really, really hard on my gut. Like, if my gut is in peak condition, there have been a few years in my life where I could eat raw vegetables and process them fine, but for the most part, they just go right through me without really getting broken down, and they seem to create gas and other problems, and a lot of the gallbladder attacks and just intense abdominal pain that lasts for hours and days is the result of vegetables that are not digested properly. So I just am really, I don't want to eat anything that doesn't, I mean, what's a vegetable? It's a leaf, it's a whatever, it's like part of a plant, you know, that doesn't, who knows if it gets broken down properly. Let's really make sure. So these carrots, I boil them, stew them, doing Instant Pot right now because it makes the chuck roast really yummy. And put a lot of red wine in that stew too, and just been re-stewing them all in the same pot for a few sessions because it makes it really yummy. Everyone just traditional cooking knows that. But anywho, it's also easier, which is why it's traditional. Because you ever wonder, okay, so you ever wonder why people put wine in stew? I do. Well, actually, I think, because I've made stew before with like just scraps of stuff. And what you do is you fill a pot with wine and you just throw stuff in it. And it doesn't go bad because it's wine, and then you boil it at some point, and it makes awesome stew. If you're really selective, if you're a good chef, you know. But yeah, so these stewed carrots, I feel like my gut bacteria are eating them, producing large amounts of enzymes, which research suggests these enzymes produced by the bacteria in our gut are essential to like the production of like NAD plus and like all these just like everything, like all cellular function basically. So I think everyone's always like vegetables, fiber, this kind of confused general push to consume fibrous things for no apparent reason because it's good for your gut, when raw vegetables have been one of the most damaging things for the gut. I believe is an indication of the fact that properly cooked vegetables giving you that fiber that's broken down already because it's thoroughly cooked. Your gut bacteria break that down, use that, eat that, produce enzymes. These enzymes are used for everything, which improves your overall health because enzymes are what allows our body's chemical processes that wouldn't be able to take place. Okay, so there's some chemical processes in our body that you either need to like produce temperatures approximating the surface of the sun for them to go through, or you could use this enzyme. And the enzymes get used up and need to be constantly replenished, and these enzymes are necessary for cellular function. So, yeah, enzymes, guys. You run out of enzymes, you die. So, where do you get enzymes? Well, your gut. Apparently, I think that might be the largest contributing source of enzymes. It also is one of the major contributing sources of specific amino acids that our body needs for various things. So, the whole idea of getting complete protein is largely connected to having a functional gut, both through absorption and synthesis via bacteria and their byproducts. It's really interesting. I'm going to break this all down in like long video series. So subscribe if you want to see that. And yeah, I mean, this is just really groundbreaking stuff. And hopefully within my lifetime, I'll be able to get all this stuff out. And then maybe that'll lay the foundation for a complete understanding of human health through dietary, nutritional, lifestyle, and exercise factors with a pharmacological twist. And we can see just what a human being is and how long we can live in performance. Because like, think about steroids, for instance, just an interesting thought. And pretty much any drug, like any drug that we take influences a receptor, the action of a receptor. So to some degree, it's triggering latent potential. Now, there's a lot of latent potentials given this model of thinking that we would never want to trigger. But given that everything is latent potential, wouldn't we want to understand exactly how this works? Through epigenetics, through all these new things that are coming to light and seeing how they interact? Because, I mean, our body is one unit. What are okay, so like having epigenetics over here and like the gut over here, metabolism over here, and hormones over here makes about as much sense as like having like, I don't know, like a country dedicated to making windows. Like, all this stuff is taking place in a point smaller than the head of a pin. And we're treating these as separate domains of study. Riddle me that.